Well, thank you very much. What a privilege and honor it is to join you today. Let me start by just saying congratulations. Congratulations, President Patillo, regents, faculty and administration, graduates, moms and dads, family and friends. Today is a day of great achievement, and we're here to celebrate your achievement. It's a day of celebration for the hard work, for the time, for the effort that you put into graduating from SFA. And let me say, as honored as I am to be here, I fully recognize that the most forgettable part of the day is going to be the politician they had come speak at your graduation. But don't worry, I'm in politics. I'm used to speaking when nobody's listening. Indeed, I have to tell you, one time, a few years back, I was on an airplane, and over the loudspeaker came a page, paging Tom Cruise. And somewhat sheepishly, I came to the front of the plane and I said, I think possibly, just maybe, you might be looking for me. You have never seen so many disappointed flight attendants. And I will say, one of the great things to keep you grounded is parenthood. God has blessed Heidi and me with two little girls, Caroline and Catherine. They are 6 and 3. Catherine, the 3-year-old, is a little angel. She is the essence of sweetness. She will hug on your neck all day long. Caroline is a rascal. It's the way God made her. It's the way she will be her entire life. I remember last fall, Heidi and the girls were in Washington. We decided to drive down to Mount Vernon. It's a Sunday afternoon. We were going to take the girls to see George Washington's former house. We're driving down the GW Parkway. It's a beautiful fall day. The leaves have turned. They're orange and red. Catherine's sitting over at her car seat. Caroline is behind me, kicking the back of the seat like she always does. And Caroline turns to her little sister. She says, Catherine, what do you want to do when you grow up? And Catherine says, I want to work in the U.S. Senate. I want to work with Daddy. And Caroline says, oh, that's boring. She says, we're going to be rock stars. And then she tosses out the zinger. She says, besides, Daddy will be dead by then. It's a true story. I'm sitting there driving going, hello, I'm right in front of you. It is such a privilege to be with you on the day of your graduation, to be with you in the year we're celebrating the 90th anniversary of Stephen F. Austin. It is such a privilege to be celebrating the largest graduating class in the history of SFA. And what an incredible fact. Dr. Patillo mentioned that roughly half of the graduates here today are the first in your families to graduate from college. Let me personally congratulate each and every one of you. That is an extraordinary accomplishment. As Dr. Patillo mentioned, my mother was the first in her family to graduate. She was Irish and Italian, was born in Wilmington, Delaware, in a family where her mother was the second youngest of 17 kids. No one had ever gone to college. When she was in high school, her dad was transferred down to Houston, and she went down the street to Rice, graduating in 1956 with a degree in math. I have to tell you, my grandfather was not an easy man. And he fought with my mother. He did not want my mother to go to school. He thought there was no reason whatsoever that she should get a college degree. And I'll tell you, my mother, who turns 80 this year, is a woman of fierce independence. And she stood up to my grandfather, her father, and said she was going and there wasn't a darn thing he could do to stop her. I know each of you has had a journey where you have fought, sometimes with great support, sometimes with some support, sometimes against all odds, but each of you has fought to be here today. And that has changed the course not just of your lives, but the lives of your kids and their kids. And I have to say as well, as we're gathered on the basketball court, what a great year for graduation to be on the basketball court. Let me just say, what an incredible 29-game winning streak for the Lumberjacks, culminating in the NCAA tournament. Culminating in something of a surprise for Virginia Commonwealth University. They were told by the NCAA they were the top team, yet somehow in overtime, the Lumberjacks had something different to say about it. Congratulations. Today, I want to encourage the graduates in two regards. First, I want to encourage you to dream big and to be idealistic. Albert Einstein said, imagination is more important than knowledge. I'm sure your parents are thrilled to hear that after 4 years of college. And Robert F. Kennedy said, some men see things as they are and ask why. I see things that never were and ask why not. Dream big. Don't let your dreams be cabined by the realities of the moment, by the realities of circumstance. You are graduating at an incredible time in the greatest state and the greatest nation in the history of the world. Indeed, the namesake of this university, Stephen F. Austin, the father of Texas, was someone who embodied the principle of dreaming big, helping build a community that what would become the Republic of Texas and ultimately the great state of Texas. Shortly before he passed away in 1836, Stephen F. Austin said in a letter that, quote, the prosperity of Texas has been the object of my labors. That is a high objective, an objective that made a difference. And because of his contributions to building the state of Texas, there are two statues from the state of Texas that stand in the U.S. Capitol, Stephen F. Austin's and Sam Houston's. I walk by those on a regular day thinking about the courage of the men and women who founded the great state of Texas and the courage and legacy that we inherit today. And yet here among us there are heroes like Stephen F. Austin each and every day. One, for example, is a graduate today by the name of Cameron Holloway. Last March, Cameron was diagnosed with lymphoma. He underwent chemotherapy in Houston and drove there every 2 weeks while going to class at the same time. Then the radiation program started, and he drove to Houston every single day, all while continuing his studies. Cameron has said that he never thought of not finishing, and Cameron's graduating today, the first person in his family to complete a college degree. Cameron is engaged to be married. And I know great things are ahead for you and your bride. Congratulations, Cameron. The second bit of advice I would give you is make a difference in the lives of others and defend liberty. We are blessed to live in the great state of Texas, a state that is booming, that is growing, a state that every day 1,400 people move to the state of Texas because of the prosperity we're blessed to live with in our great state. You're graduating with skills that will benefit you the rest of your lives as you work, each of you, to achieve the American dream. And yet what I would say is, remember that in doing so, make a difference and touch the lives of those around you. Make a difference in the lives of your family, of your friends, of your neighbors. Make a difference in the lives of people who you don't know, but who are in your community, in your city, in your state. Make a difference, because when all of us are gone and buried, no one will remember the material wealth we may have achieved. No one will remember what kind of car you drove or what kind of television you had on your wall. The only thing people will remember is the legacy that you have left, touching the lives of others and improving their world and their lives. So don't forget to do good while you're doing well. And I would point out that Texas embodies the American free enterprise ethos. We are blessed to live in a nation that is unique in the history of the world. There has been no nation that has allowed so many millions of people to come here with nothing and to achieve anything. The American free enterprise system has been the greatest engine for prosperity and opportunity that the world has ever seen. If you look at the great inventions in the history of the world, an extraordinary number of them come from the United States of America. We invented the telephone, the automobile, the airplane. We were the first to walk on the moon. We invented Pong. We invented basketball. Although I'm glad we're not using peach baskets anymore. We invented the iPhone. But the most important legacy that freedom gives us, that the American free enterprise system gives us, is opportunity. This nation has allowed more opportunity than any nation in the history of the world. In 1999, if you look at the bottom income quintile, the bottom 20%, 10 years later, 60% of that bottom quintile had moved up in income. In the same 10 years, if you look at the top quintile, the top 20%, 40% of them had moved down. What the American free enterprise system allows that is unique in the history of the world, most of the world, people are trapped in the circumstances in which they are born. If they are born with great opportunity, with great resources, they live very well. And if they are not, their prospects of changing that are limited. What is so extraordinary in the United States is that your success doesn't depend on who your parents are, doesn't depend on the color of your skin, your race, your ethnicity, your religion. Your success depends on your talent, your passion, your perseverance, and on the content of your character. That is an extraordinary legacy. It's one I know firsthand. 57 years ago, when my dad fled Cuba, he had been imprisoned, he had been tortured. As a teenager, he'd been thrown in a Cuban jail, beaten almost to death. He'd had his teeth kicked out of his mouth in a Cuban jail when he was 17 years old. And when he came to Texas, it was 1957, he didn't know anybody. He couldn't speak English. He had just $100 sewn into his underwear. I actually don't advise carrying money in your underwear. And his first job was washing dishes, making 50 cents an hour. He worked 7 days a week. Why? Because he didn't have money for food. And when he worked, they let him eat at the restaurant. And since he liked to eat 7 days a week, he worked 7 days a week. And he paid his way through the University of Texas. Went on to start a small business to work towards the American dream. Now listen, my entire life, my dad has been my hero. But let me tell you what I find so incredible about his story. How commonplace it is. Every one of us here, from the graduates to the parents to the faculty, every one of us here has a story just like that in our backgrounds. We could spend the rest of this commencement with one person after another walking up on this stage and telling the story, whether it's you, whether it's your mom, whether it's your great-great-great-grandfather. We are all the children of those who risked everything for freedom. And I'm going to suggest to you that is the most fundamental DNA of what it means to be an American, is to value freedom and opportunity above all else. So let me encourage you, defend liberty and make a difference in the lives of others. That is your inheritance. That is your legacy. And I congratulate you. As Winston Churchill said, in the midst of World War II, with a significant Allied victory, he said, "This is not the end. This is not even the beginning of the end. But it is, however, the end of the beginning."